Part B. So the name of the class is Motor Controls, ETC 108. And what we'll first look at, of course, before we go over the brief, is the college has updated a new version of Blackboard. It's called Blackboard Ultra. So your old Blackboard, if you go there, you still have access to your old Blackboard, but none of your new courses will be in there. Your new courses or the courses you're taking this semester will be in Blackboard Ultra. Best place to get to it until you set up your favorites is just go to the Lawson State website. Everybody knows how to get there, right? Everybody okay? And then just go to current student. And then once you get the current student, if it comes up, then you'll go to just here, just go to the Blackboard link right here. And then the first thing it'll do, it'll tell you what's required to log in. So basically, you're going to go back to your original login to Blackboard, and where you change your password on the new Blackboard, I have no idea. But your username is going to be what's printed on your schedule, minus the @lawsonstate.edu. So it's your email address without the lawsonstate.edu. So this person, something John Doe would do, his student ID number. It's the last 4 digits of your student ID number. And then your password is going to be your birthday, your 2-digit month, your 2-digit day, and your 2-digit year. And this will take you to the login for Blackboard Ultra. And when you do that, the login is a little different. I think it'll let me bring it up again. It's not much different. So this is the new login screen, username and password, and then sign in, and it should take you into the new Blackboard site. So this is the new Blackboard site. This is the way it looked, and this is supposed to be an adaptive screen. The college is no longer hosting. Right now we host the Blackboard Learn system that's out there. This has actually been hosted off-site. This is actually, they call it in the cloud, but it's just a web-based system, which is going to work out better. And this is supposed to be an adaptive screen, which means it should adapt to whatever size display that you're looking at. The old Blackboard would do that. So if you ever tried to access it on your cell phone, it was very, very complicated. So it's basically the same. All your institutional links should be here. So what this is, on the old Blackboard, they had those 15 or 20 links down at the bottom down there. Those are not going to no longer be on your course Blackboard site. They'll be here. Activity stream, this will show you if the instructor's ever posted any messages or anything that's posted into a course. So you don't actually have to go into the course. What it'll do is it'll pop up what if there's been any activity by the instructor inside the course. This will be your courses. So the courses that you're taking this semester should pop up here. Of course, I've got a lot of them. And then we're ETC 108. And they're all color-coded. And the only place the color code will come into play if you click on calendar. So what this calendar does, it shows you if you've got any calendar updates on any classes that you've taken. And it also highlights it in color that it assigns to the course, but you don't really need to do that. So what you can do is just, if you click on what's happening inside the course, it'll come up here and it'll give you that information over here on the right-hand side. Everybody okay so far? Okay. Messages. This new Blackboard don't allow us to send email out to the whole class, but we do have the ability to post messages. You can post a message, by the way, to each student in class also. We'll show you that, but this is also available inside the course. Grades, this will show your grades for all your classes. If you want to look at just the grades in one class, then you'll have to go into that class. Everybody okay? Any questions so far? Okay, so this is the actual class, ETC 108. And this should be, we attempted to make it pretty similar to the way yours is set up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to what you're going to actually see. So this is what I see. This is what you actually see. So first week in course information, of course, inside this is going to be your brief, which you have a copy of. So we don't give out the syllabus, we give out the brief. The syllabus is actually posted on Blackboard. So we'll look at the syllabus. So here's the brief. Now this is what we call a professional document format, or PDF. Y'all probably familiar with what we call PDF files. Just every smart media automatically supports PDF files. If you do want to print it, when it loads in on your computer, you just move up, hover up on the left, and this is where you could actually print it or you could download it. So the only prerequisite for this course is the ET 100. Everybody's had the ET 100, right? Okay. If you've had ETC 101, it'll make the first class a little easier. My contact information, I'm the primary instructor for the course. My name is Rich Raymond. I go by Rich. I go by Hey You. So I go by Love. But Rich, I usually go by my first name, and I'll probably use your first name if you don't want me to. Just let me know once I learn you. Here's my office phone number, 205-292-3439, and then my email address. Usually it's easier. I'm the department chair, and I'm all over the place all the time, and it's highly unlikely that I'll be in my office at any one time. So probably the easiest way to get in contact with is through my email. I actually have my email coming to my cell phone, so I'll get that instantly. This is Mr. Hoyt Sanders. He's your secondary contact. He's primarily on the Birmingham campus, but he has all the knowledge that he can probably answer any question. If not, he'll probably refer you to Miss Allison Bush. The motor control, anybody got their book yet? Because I didn't. Our adjunct instructor, our part-time instructor, had mine, and I hadn't got it back. The book is a nice, pretty book. It's a really good book. Does a real good job with motor control. It does a real good job with motors, and it's a really good book if you're going to work in this trade. This is the actual lab book. It's called Industrial Controls. There's two down there. One of them's called Industrial Motors. One's called Industrial Controls. From the outside, they look identical to each other. Make sure you get the one that says Industrial Controls. You cannot buy this used, because what's going to happen if you buy it used, all the labs are going to be gone. And you cannot rent it. Why can't you rent it? Because you have to turn these labs in. So I have to grade them. I don't grade them in class. I grade them at my convenience, right? So the labs in, it's all loose leaf. So when you buy it, it'll come with the binder, and then it'll come with the whole lab book inside. The text. The textbook is. Yeah. We'll use charts, we'll use diagrams out of the textbook, and it's a really good reference book for this trade. I understand that, because these books are not cheap. Technical books are not cheap. For one thing, they'll run extremely hard versions of them. So they don't sell millions of them, so they're not cheap, unfortunately. We have not been able to find an online book that does what we need to do in this class. If you do take ACDC machinery class, most if you take the sensors, if you take the sensors class, which is an advanced class, we use the same textbook, and the lab book of that will be the book will be if you take motor controls, and you take machinery, which is actually motors, and you take the sensors class, and you would be able to use this one book in 3 classes. So it would make for itself. If this is only a class that you take, then you can more than welcome to sell that back to the bookstore. But I don't know what they do, but it's a really good technical book. We went out to CMC Steel on a tour, and they had a book library, and guess what book was in there? This book right here. And he says, "Oh, we use this book all the time." So it's a good book if you're going into uh, any type of manufacturing courses that deals with motors and relays. We'll talk a little bit about what some relays are being replaced by a unit called a programmable controller, but it still doesn't do with what we call relays. If you don't know what a relay is, we'll learn that too. So everybody okay? We required supplies. You need to have a scientific calculator, of course. Safety glasses with side shields. We use that in this class. You need to have a pair of electrically insulated gloves. Mechanic gloves work out okay. You can get these. I don't know if they carry them downstairs. They should, but like Harbor Freight or something like that, just a good pair of mechanics gloves. The highest voltage that we're going to be dealing with in this class is 208 volts, which is well above the lethal. Anybody know what's considered to be a lethal voltage? So for a long time, there was really no standards. And then the National Fire Protection Association, which is the same people that put out the National Electrical Code. Y'all heard of the National Electrical Code? Yeah, well, that's actually a NASA 70 standard. They decided to, and the National Electrical Code does not deal with your safety. It deals with the safe installation of equipment. So how do you install stuff safely? Now, most of the time, if you install stuff safely, it's going to help you. But they realized there was really no standard for protecting you. So the National Fire Protection Association came out with what they call the 70E, and you'll hear it all the time, 70E, 70E. This is what protects you. And NAFTA 70E has identified a thing of 50 volts to be considered lethal. It doesn't mean you can't get hurt by lower voltages, but that's the breakpoint. So as soon as you get up to 50 volts, you have to start wearing special, what we call personal protective equipment. You'll have people call it PPE. When you get out there, they'll be wearing PPE all the time. And of course, so since we're above 50 volts, that means we're going to have to do what? We're going to have to wear personal PPE equipment. And of course, that's safety glasses that's required. And then, of course, electrically insulated gloves, which works good for us. Mechanics gloves work good for us because the biggest voltage that we're dealing with is 208 volts. But you get up into the higher voltages, then your PPE changes. So they have different categories. They call it different levels that you have a person come in and calculate what PPE is required for you to work on certain equipment. And then sooner or later, you're going to get up to these blast chute suits that these guys have to wear when they get into extremely high energy circuits. So a good pair of mechanics gloves will suffice. And then, of course, you need standard school supplies. You need paper and pencil, guys. So, in fact, just about everything, just about all the documents that we submit in this class, we do them in pencil. Because I got tired of following road maps a long time ago. People would use pens, and then they'd make a mistake, and then what would they do? Scratch it out, and then it'd make a mistake again, and they'd do what? Scratch it out, and pretty soon they was drawing arrows and all kinds of stuff trying to show me where the answers were. So you need a big pencil with an eraser on it. Blackboard. If you're not going to use Blackboard, then you're going to be in trouble in this class. Our course calendars up there. We'll course announcements up there. Due dates will be up there on the calendar. All the lecture slides are up there. And then, so what you're going to do, use the Blackboard. And of course, I'll show y'all this minute. You've had our classes before. Y'all dealt with the first week quizzes and that kind of stuff that's required for just about all our classes and syllabus agreement and all that kind of stuff. So it's up there on Blackboard too. Are we okay? So this is the what? This is the brief. Yeah, 2 weeks. The first lab that we'll do, we're not going to, the actual first lab that we do is we're going to go over here and we'll assign you to teams. We'll work in labs, and I'll give y'all the lab procedure and show y'all what labs you're going to do and how you're going to be graded and all that. I'll give you a lab probably before we go to the lab. The first lab that we'll actually do is just to go over. We'll work in teams of twos. We'll use the white ones and not the blue ones. The blue ones are the ones we use for sensors. The white ones are the ones that we'll use here. We'll work in teams of two. We've got 10 people in the class. And the first thing we're going to do is inventory the parts, make sure you've got everything in there, and find them if they're not in here. Because what happens is these things have a tendency to kind of move around, even though they're not supposed to. So, and that'll be the first time you will need your supplies then. And I'll let you know heads up when we're going to actually first do our electrical lab. Then the next lab I think we do is learning how to wire the transformer upside. So our parts run off 120 volts, and then our disconnect, which is the gray box up there, it's actually three-phase. We'll talk a little bit about three-phase in this class. It's 208. It's running a three-phase. It's running a Y connection, and we'll learn what that means. But we got to go from 208 to 120. So what do we use to change voltage levels? Transformers. So we have a transformer here, and it's a multi-winding transformer. It'll either do a divide by 2 or it'll do a divide by 4, and we'll learn what that means. And first thing we'll do is connect up the transformer and see how that works. Well, that's not true. The first lab I think we do that's a live lab is we pop the disconnect open, we get in and we make measurements in there to measure the voltage levels and all that kind of stuff in there. And then we simulate a long fuse by popping out one of the fuses in one of the phases, and we'll do that. So that'll be the first thing we do. And the second lab we'll do is we'll wire up the transformer so for our components, and then we'll start doing basic circuits, and then we'll move into more complex circuits. So if you don't understand that, that's okay. We're going to teach you all that stuff in this class. So you'll learn a little bit about transformers, and of course three-phase power, which is pretty neat. This is the actual syllabus, and we're just going to hit the highlights in the syllabus because you're required to read this course syllabus, and there's actually a quiz out there that tries to prove that you have read the syllabus and the brief. So the brief is technically part of the syllabus. It's just that our syllabus is around 7-8 pages, and you can think about the amount of paper that would take to run out, and we have a copy budget of like $100 a year, and we could eat that up just copying syllabus or providing syllabus. So we provide the syllabus online. The description for the course, the prerequisites, like we was talking about, the only prerequisite for the course is EET 100. So if you hadn't had DC, if you had DC, it'll help you a little bit, but we're going to cover everything that you need to know, not how to calculate all these currents and voltages and all the other kind of stuff in this class that you'll learn in DC. You learned a little bit about that in intro. But intro to engineering, all you had was just basic one resistor circuit, right? And we'll learn a bit about how we can connect the different loads in the circuit in this class. So you need to have EET 100, and then of course the supplies are listed again. Oh, this is leather work. You don't have to, leather works great. Leather is a really, really good insulator to electricity as long as you don't get goop. And normally, you can. In fact, most of your real high energy gloves, they have to get those tested every once in a while because you get stuff on them that actually changes their electrical characteristics. So if you've got leather gloves that's got a bunch of motor oil and stuff like that on them, then you don't need to use them because you'll smear it all over there. But mechanics gloves works really, really well in this class. So I need to come back and correct that, and I'll put it back over there. Blackboard, we already know about that, right? College email, it's very, very important that you, and we still haven't figured out how to do that. We're in a learning curve just like you are. We were informed and started training on the Blackboard about maybe a month ago. And that's not an everyday thing. It's been, and they have had Blackboard people from Blackboard coming in, and we've made suggestions on what we want added. So right now, I do not have the ability to send the whole class email. So this is why it's going to be imperative, unless I could set up an email group inside my regular account, but I would have to be doing that all the time. So I'll have to figure that out and see if there's a way. We do use a texting application called Remind, where I can text to the class. So that'll probably be what we do. And it's been proven that people check their email about 60% of the time, but they see text all the time. So when you take your syllabus quiz, you're going to be given the option of giving me a cell phone, and I don't share your phone number with anybody except people in our program. And then I'm going to ask you, do you give me permission to send you text? So if you give me permission to send you text, then I can use a text application called Remind, where I can text individuals, or I can text the whole class at one time. And that would probably be better than email anyway. Even though if I send a text that says check your email, that would probably make you do what? Check your email, because sometimes text it's one of these 140 character things. So you know, like texting used to be, and you got to be real cognizant of how many characters you put in there. What's so strange is if I text the whole class, it don't look like I have a limit. But if I text an individual student, it leads me to 140 characters. And you can text me back. It's going to pop up with a one. I'll have to look back. I'll try to start off saying this is Rich. And then you can text me back through that same number without you knowing my cell phone number. You can text me back through that. So that'll probably be one of the primary methods we use. And that information is going to be asked from you on Blackboard. So what happens is when I enter that, I'll send the text out to the class. And then if you don't get a text from me within the first week, you need to do what? We need to check your number and make sure I got the right number. Everybody okay so far? And I'll show you all the quiz. So this is the way you're actually going to be graded. So I do like this one a little better. The old Blackboard showed a totals column up there, which basically had nothing to do with the way we calculate grade, because the totals column basically was just for the class, and it wasn't how the class was weighted. So I had one of my students one time that came into me and said, well, I calculated my grades from all the averages on Blackboard, and I should have made a B, and you gave me a C. But what he was doing, he was adding all the percentages together, which is 5 of them, and dividing by 5. So that means your assignments had the same weight as your final. And so when I showed him how to do it, when you did the percentages, what the weight each one of them was, and he saw where he actually got that. He was a unique student. So your first week quizzes and assignments, the first week quizzes will be worth 5% of your grade, which is basically half a letter grade. The test is 25%. Your homework and assignments, and I'll show you all the assignments in the class, is worth 13%. The lab's 35%. Just having your required supplies is 2%, and the final exam is 20%. Everybody okay? Okay. And that's another thing we're having a little problem with, is the way Gradebook is set. We'll give 3 tests during the term. The tests are already scheduled. I like to schedule those at the first of the term, so you can already go ahead and kind of plan your day. Of course, y'all know you are in mini terms, right? You understand that. So every class counts as 2 classes. So if you miss one class, it's just like missing a week of classes over a full week term. So mini terms are good. We like mini terms. Why we like mini terms is, I know everything comes at you hot and heavy, but we like mini terms because it gives us more consecutive lab hours. So we have more consecutive lab hours. And here it'll take you about 15 minutes to set up for a lab, about 15 minutes. By the way, you're assigned these trainers. So you really don't have to say, well, I don't have time. I've had people come up 45 minutes left in the class and say, I don't have time to start on the next circuit. You're assigned these trainers. Nobody bothers them. So you can do what? You can start building the circuit, and then you can do what? Just leave it and come back, and it'll be just like you left it. Okay. So I want to hear that. I think people an hour left in the class. We don't have time to start this circuit. So you're going to need every time. There is no makeup time for lab. Basically, there's more labs that very seldom does everybody in the class get through with all the labs required in this class. So it's fun. It's a fun class, by the way. This is a class where, in resistors, what type of work does a resistors do? Yeah, well, heat. Yeah. Now, in electronics, we use them to establish voltage levels. So I think in DC, you'll learn about voltage dividers, which is very, very important because solid-state devices or semiconductors have to be biased into operation. And this is a voltage that you set on these solid-state devices to determine where they operate. But what we set those voltages with, we set them with resistors. The problem we have with resistors, of course, is they consume power without actually doing electronic work. Does that make sense? So what we're going to, I don't know why I got off on that test. three tests this semester, three tests. They're going to be time tests. What we'll usually do, and we'll try to do it this way, where and each class counts as 2 days. So in these classes, I don't care what you've done or who taught you before. And if one of my instructors does this, you need to let me know. But what we do is we do not let you take a test on one day and just go. So what we do on test days is we're going to try to schedule it so we don't cover any new material. We try to schedule it so we're in lab the first half of the class, and then we do the test the second half of the class. And then when you get through, if you get through the test early, you can do what? You can leave. If we gave it the first part of the class, then if you got through the test early, you'd have to take a break and come back, because then we would do something after you got out of the test. So we don't give the test and then let you go on a mini term, right? You understand that? So, and we understand that things happen. We understand that situations happen. We do not give makeups because we don't, but because of the way the class works. So what we do is we have a test, and in the next class we go over the test. Well, if you don't take the test, then what can I do with the next class? I can't go over the test, right? Because I'd be giving you all the answers. So what we do is we take a test. Next class we'll go over the test, and so that means we can't give makeup tests. But what we do is we drop your lowest test scores. So if something happens and you're absent on one test day, then that shouldn't hurt you. If you miss 2 tests on a mini term, then it's going to be almost impossible for you to pass the class anyway. Everybody understand that? So that's why we go right off the bat. I give you the test schedule. I said these are the days we have the test. And this is a mini term, guys. We can't move these tests around like we could on a full term class, because if we move the test, then first of all, the test is going to have to change because I'm going to cover more material, and it's going to change all. And then I will have less classes before what? Before the next test. Everybody understand that? Everybody okay? So being here in this class is very, very important, but we understand. So we don't have makeup on labs, but what we do is we scale the labs. So we'll drop several labs at the end of the term. We won't drop them. We'll say, okay, drop the lowest test scores, lab scores. So what that does, if you've done all labs, then the lowest lab scores will be dropped. If you don't do a lab, then that will be one of your lowest lab scores. And like I said, we don't have time to do makeup labs. If you're absent, and I'll give you the procedures, you're going to be working with a partner. We've had this happen before. I've got to go because my partner's not here. That's not the way this works. You don't want to make your partner responsible for your grade, right? You understand? So what are you going to do if your partner's absent? You're going to do labs. And when your partner comes back, you don't go back, guys. What do? Your partner has to do what? Continue where you're at, right? You understand that? And like I said, maybe if you're absent a lot of days, you're not going to pass a midterm class anyway. You just won't be able to make up those labs. And there's absolutely no time in this class for lab makeup. Like I said, it's very unusual for all the students in the class to get through with all these labs. Assignments. So assignments are going to be posted on Blackboard. There's already a few up there. Sometimes we add. So first week assignments. Everybody okay on tests? Y'all understand that, right? Everybody okay? If you had my classes, and just about all the instructors in our program should be doing that. Your first week quizzes and assignments. So you got a syllabus quiz you got to do. You got a safety and evacuation quiz you got to do. You got to say that you're going to adhere to the dress code. You also have a syllabus. That's a syllabus quiz up there. Reading the syllabus brief, syllabus safety and evacuation procedures, and the dress code is required during the first week of the term. After reading these documents, complete the online syllabus safety and evacuation quiz. I also submit the syllabus agreement. Since this class only meets once, and I know some people, looks like we had a pretty good, everybody's out here, looks like most people are here. And like I said, I'll do a roll in a minute. So normally this would be the first, tomorrow would be the first Friday, but we've only met the class once. So your first assignment will be due next Friday. It should already be on the calendar. So basically next week would basically count as far as the assignments goes as the first week of the term. So what this means is by next Thursday, you're going to have to turn in, or you're going to have to make sure you submit the syllabus agreement, right? And this just says, I'll show y'all that. Y'all have had our classes before. Y'all had to do a syllabus agreement in that. And this is just, we had a bunch of meetings with people, and most of the classes, they have y'all sign a piece of paper. But when they saw what we do, they said, oh, that's so cool, because they don't have to keep up with the paper anymore. So, probably going to start doing that in several of your classes. Assignments, most of the assignments are already posted on Blackboard. There'll be a due date on there. If you don't do it by the due date, then what we do is we drop off, if they're worth 50 points, we drop off 10 points for every day after they're due. So that means if you turn it in a day late, then you'll get, and you do it right, then you'll get 40 out of 50. So you drop from 100 to 80%, right? So I need to turn those in on time. And they're already posted up there. So, and you can do them early if you want to. There's some you can't do early. But the first two assignments is just to do the first week quizzes, and the second one is just to see the email, just to make sure your email doesn't go into my junk folder. It does every once in a while. And that's the second assignment. The first two are pretty easy. Worksheets, we have worksheets that we'll give out in the class. What we'll do is the worksheets are already up on Blackboard. We'll post when they're due on the calendar. So that means if you're not here, then what can you can still get, I'll give worksheets out in class. If you're not here, of course, you're not going to get one, but you still have access to them on Blackboard. So you can print them off yourself. By the way, if you're not going to be here when a worksheet is due, if you can take a picture of it and then send it to me, you'll get credit for turning it. I gotta be able to see it. If you got a scanner, that's really great. You can scan it and send it to me by email, or you can also take a picture of it and send it to me by email. Now you'll be counted absent for the class, but you'll get credit for the worksheet. Because I know things happen. So just about everybody can take a picture now and send it by email or so everybody okay there? Any questions there? If you look through the lab book is divided up into chapters, and at the end of each chapter we have a chapter quiz, a lab chapter quiz. So what I do is, and there's a lot of lab questions. What we like to do in lab is we don't like when we're in here, what we like you to do is wire circuit. And then when you get to the lab questions, what we want to do is we don't want you to do them in class. We want you to do those at home. Okay, and that way you're sitting over there taking 30, 40 minutes to answer these questions, right? You understand? And your lab is sitting up here blank, and you're getting in labs or what, 35% of the credit, right? I think 85% of the lab grade is based on wired circuits. So the 15% of the lab is based on the chapter quizzes. So wired circuits counts a lot more toward your lab grade than the questions on the labs, right? Does that make sense? What we'd like you to do, we'd like you to do your lab questions at home. And when you're here, what do we want you to do? We want you to do circuits. We want you to do wired circuits, right? Everybody understand that? So what we do is since we don't want you to do your labs questions here, then what we do is that once you finish up a circuit and get all the circuits in the lab signed off, I'll put a date and then I'll put a due date on the lab form, which will be the next class. So you have between one class to answer those questions. Everybody okay? And then if you don't turn it in, we'll have 2 boxes up here. In fact, it might be up here. In fact, it's AU2 132. But one of them's going to be labs to be graded, and one of them's going to be labs not to be graded. Have people, while you're working on a lab, while you're working on it, and it's a good idea to leave it here instead of taking it home, because if you take it home like that, you could lose it. Now, that's happened before, too. We had one person that had it in their trunk, and they had a battery back there, and what happened? Battery spilled up and ate their labs up. So the labs will be due the class after this. And why we do this is I grade the labs as we go through the semester. And why I started doing this is this happened to me more than once, where we have a student that didn't turn in any labs. And then the last day of class, they come up with a stack this big, and they said, hand me the lab and said, did I pass the class? Because these labs are graded. I've had people turn in labs without a single thing on them. So I think what they think is that when I grade labs, I just look and see if they're turned in and give y'all a grade for them. These labs are graded, right? You understand that? Most of the grading for the circuits is done while y'all build the circuits. And then most of the stuff that I do when I take the labs home or to my office is I grade the question. So you need to turn these in, and if you don't turn them in on time, I start taking points off, because what's going to happen is this lab, we got 10 people in this class. In this class, and I'm doing another class also. Right now, there's, I can't remember how many labs, but there'll be a stack of labs like this. And if everybody in here tries to turn them on at the end of the semester, then I didn't know in the world I could get all those labs graded right before grades are due. So what I do is you do what? You turn them in as the semester goes along, and I'm grading them. And then at the end of the term, then I've got to just grade the last set. And so I'll get the grades in before the deadline. For some reason, they don't like us getting them in there. Final exam, there's no one exempt from the final exam. Now, what we do is so the way the test works, we take a test. The next test we do what? Next class we do what? We go over it, and I post that test online. And you can take that thing as many, we call them previous tests, somebody call them practice tests, where you call them, that's fine. And then what you can do is you can go out there and you can take those previous tests as many times as you want to. It has nothing to do with your grade. Because I learned a long time ago that people learn by repetition. So what happens, test 1 will be the only test that for the first time you'll see these questions. So what I do when I move to test 2 is I pull questions off of test 1. And it'll have an asterisk up there indicating that that question came from test 1. So you'll know which ones would have been on there. So what I want you to do is, before you take test 1, and it's actually an assignment, you need to go out and before you take test 2, you need to make sure you go out and take that previous test 1, right? You understand? And then that'll give you ready for what? And then when the final exam, guys, is nothing but questions off the 3 tests. So by the end of the term, you will have a copy of the final exam. You just don't know what questions off those 3 tests I'm going to pull off and put on the final. So in the final counts 20% of your grade, that's 2 letter grades. If you make a bad, and I've had people fail the final, and those are the people that didn't do well. Yeah, I can take those previous tests, right? Or when they took them, they made 50s on them. So they just took them. By the way, so three of the assignments are just taking those practice tests. And the score you get on those assignments is set by what score you get on those previous tests at the date of the test that they're referenced to. And you can, how many times can you take those previous tests? As many as you want, yeah. So it always bothers me. They go back and take those previous tests and they make 40s and 50s on them when they could have done what? Oh, they kept trying, yeah. And then they end up failing the final. Grade averages, you have to make at least a C. This is one of your major programs. You have to make at least a C to pass this class. So that means if you make a D, you got to do what? Retake it. By the way, usually the last day to withdraw from the class is around I think it's on the calendar, is usually about the time for test 3. I had one student that would come in, he took the class 3 times. And came in, failed the first test. And what did he do? He withdrew from the class. And then he came back and he came back and again passed the first test. And what did he do? Failed the second test. And what did he do? Withdrew from the class. So he came back again. And I told him, so what you need to do, because once you get past the last day to get a refund, you're not going to get a refund anyway. So even if you're not doing really well on the test, and you know you're going to have to retake the course, you need to wait until the last day to draw. If you withdraw by the last day of withdrawal, you get a W in the class. A W in the class does not count against your grade point average. If you do not drop by that last day to withdrawal, you will get a grade in the class. I had a student just came in last week. Had failed a class, and what did he want to do? He wanted to withdraw from it after he failed. Yeah, and you can't do that. You can't do that. And the problem thinks, a lot of people think, if you make an F this time and you make an A that time, you get the A in the class. No, the GPA is a grade point average. So what that means is if you make an A the second time, it's still only a C average in that class. So what I would recommend is that, and so what I did is I talked him into not dropping the class, and the third time he passed it. So, and that's what it is. So if you wait till the last day to withdraw, then basically everything is a repeat, right? You understand it would be the second time going through the program and it'll help you out. So just because you don't do well on the first test, and the first test is usually the worst test an instructor gives, because why? Because students are getting used to the instructor, how we word questions and stuff like that. And then once you figure that out, you usually start to do better. So, and we do drop a lot. Lowest test score. Only one though, guys. I had one student, every test he took, he said, I'm going to drop this test. And I kept saying, you can only drop one. Withdrawals. This is online. I cannot withdraw you from this class. So if you stop coming, then you're going to be graded like you're here. Everybody understand that? So if you don't take a test, you'll get a what on it? A 0. If you don't turn in an assignment, you're going to get a 0. At the end of the term, you're going to get an F. So if something happens and you cannot take the class anymore, then you need to make sure you withdraw from it before the what? Before the last day to withdraw. And I cannot withdraw you from a class. I've had that happen before. Oh, I dropped that class. And what did they think they did? They just did what? They just quit coming. And they thought we automatically drop them, and we can't do that. It's called the right to fail. So you have a right to pass the class, but you also have a right to what? To fail it. So if something happens, and I know life happens, right? You understand that things happen. You need, if you cannot come to class anymore, then you need to withdraw before the last day to withdraw. If you don't withdraw, then I'm gonna have to give you a grade in the class. Everybody okay? Lateness, you're expected to be here on time. What time does the class start? I understand the first time you got things you got to do, and you got so first day of class is kind of but you need to get here on time. We start class on time. I start class on time. We got so much material in this class that we can't fiddle around. Okay, so you need to get here on time. By the way, I do record lectures. That's what this little thing's up here for. And I do this every once in a while. So right now I'm recording all this. So even if we have somebody that's absent today, then I'll upload this to YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, by the way. So there's a link on the Blackboard site to get to it, or you can just go to YouTube and type in Rich Raymond, and my picture will be up there. It surprised me how many Rich Raymonds there were, but I'm the one that looks like me. Plagiarism. Everybody understand what plagiarism is? What's plagiarism? Nobody knows what plagiarism is? Yeah, claiming something that's not yours, right? This is usually written and stuff like that. We don't say that you can't use the internet or stuff like that to research, but what you need to do is take that and put it in your own words. Okay. So we got an application that we can run these documents through. It's called, I don't remember, but it actually comes up right off the bat and tells me it's an 80% chance it's plagiarized, or 90. If it gets up in the 90s, odds are it's what. Yeah, it's a big problem we have because most people by now learn how to cut and paste right off the internet. And I watch my grandkids do homework. But it's okay to use reference material, but you need to take it and do what? Put it in your own words. Just taking it and putting your own words, you're going to have a chance to learn it, right? You understand? Just trying to figure out getting it in your own words. So watch out for that, especially any classes out here. Cheating. Cheating, it means cheating on tests. So the problem we have is that it's a he said, she said type situation, which means, if you let somebody copy off your test, that's just as bad as well. And I was taking a class at Jeff State and taking a biology class, and all of a sudden the people wanted to get together at Pizza Hut and talk about labs. But when we got down there, guess what they wanted to do? Talk about labs. Well, that's the last I had to do with them. Those were my friends. I mean, because they wanted to take my work and use it as theirs. So don't copy work, don't cheat, right? And people think, I don't know what they think about us. We grade these things, and we're sort of smart, and we grade this over here, and all of a sudden says, well, that sounds familiar. We go back here, and the words are exactly. I gave a digital test one time, and there's a number system called hexadecimal. In hexadecimal, we use digits 0 through 9, and we use A, B, C, D, E, F. And those are the only digits available in hexadecimal. We have one guy wrote a 6, and he didn't close the 6 up. And the next person didn't read it as a 6, he wrote it as a G. So he wrote a capital uppercase G. And it was about 4 people that turned in and wrote a lot out there instead of a 6. They wrote a G, and there's no such thing as a G in the hexadecimal number system. So, and if we take stuff like that to Dr. Crawford and he looks at it, and there's no, and most of the time it's just unbelievable what people do to get something turned in on time. And what happens if Dr. Crawford and you cheat, what's going to happen? I take that to Dr. Crawford, which is the Dean of Instruction. What's going to happen? He's going to kick us good. Both of them. Not only who copied, but who copied from, right? You understand that? So be real careful here when you do that. And he don't play anybody met Dr. Crawford? Dr. Crawford's the one that came up with the dress code. Dr. Crawford don't play around, so don't cheat. So it's better to take a 0 on an assignment than risk being what? Caught cheating. By the way, this is the procedure. If you have problems with the class, speak first to the instructor. Speak, don't email, speak. Make an appointment with these people so we can discuss this. Email can get strange. Everybody's had email that you misinterpreted, right? You understand that? So you need to make an appointment with me and say, I need to talk to you about it. I got some concerns about the class. If you got concerns about me, you need to schedule an appointment because I'm the department chair, so I'm over the department. So you can't talk to me twice, but you need to talk to Miss Wilson. She's the assistant dean of career tech. But you need to make an appointment with her and talk to her, right? You understand? Instead of sending emails. So we have a situation in another class where they started sending emails. Everybody got emails that you've misinterpreted, right? Because you can't express things and you can't ask questions, and it's back and forth. So make an appointment with us, and then after that, you would the third step would be to speaking to the faculty member or the department chair, and your concerns are not fully addressed. Then you're going to file a complaint via the complaint process on the student portal of the Blackboard site. Everybody okay there? So who you supposed to talk to first? Me, yeah. You know, a lot of times we can resolve it, but statement of discrimination and harassment. We don't harass people or discriminate. If somebody's doing that, you need to let me know. American Disabilities Act. This states that I cannot make special arrangements to anybody in the class unless it is a documented disability. So if you got a disability that you need special consideration for, you need to contact Ms. Renee Herndon on this campus, and then she'll send me a letter saying, you know, this student has asked for these considerations. So you can't come up to me in class and say, well, I need extra time to take the test. Because for one thing, if it's not documented, I have to make that available to what? Everybody. So we do the best we can. Some things we cannot do because of the technical trade that we're in. You know, so but if we can make those if we can make those available to you, then we'll do it the best we can. So if you need extra time to take the test, then what we'll do is we'll schedule you to take it in another class. If you need quiet time to take the test, then we'll schedule that into a place where it'll be quiet. Usually we take the test back into down to 200, and that's not the only thing we'll be using it for. So in this class, so we'll primarily be in here labs also. Cell phone and pagers, you need to make sure you silence your cell phone when you're in here. So if your phone rings, don't answer it in class. You need to, you always got the number, right? You can do what? You can call them back because that's very disturbing in class. You need to go out in the hall and make your calls, right, or answer your phone. If you can't get out there in time, you can go out there and do what? Call them back. But just make sure you silence your phone when you're in here. Acceptable use policy, this basically says all the equipment here does not belong to you, it belongs to us, so you're not going to make any modifications or anything. We had one student that was left-handed. So every time he went to a computer, he would go into the control panel and reset it for left-handed. And then what would he do? When he left, what did he do? He left it the way it was. And you get over there, people be clicking on the wrong buttons and stuff like that. So if you make any changes, guys, we had one person that liked to change the background on every computer he was on. So, children on campus, you're not allowed to bring children on campus. And unfortunately, guys, we don't have daycare here. I wish we did. I think they attempted that once. But so you need to make arrangements for that. Cheating on any responsibilities. Another thing on here is that normally when I call roll, today I did it a little different because I know the first day of class people you know, or I got other things trying to do, trying to get books, trying to get things straightened out. What I do is I'll do roll. And once I learn your name, I will not call roll anymore. I'll just do roll. I do it at the start of class, and then after that, I forget about roll. So if you come in late, so if you're not here when I do roll, you're going to get a what? An absent. If you come in, you need to do what? You need to come up to the desk when we take a break and say, Rich, I'm here. And that way they'll remind me to go back and get you here, get you tardy. Also, if you leave class early, you need to let me know. That deals with safety issues. Because if you leave class early and I don't know you've left, and we have a fire alarm or something, and we go out here in the parking lot and I do roll, and you're not there, what am I going to do? I'm going to send somebody back in here looking for you because I think you're what? Still here. So if you leave early, you need to let me know. You don't need to say, Rich, is it okay if I go? Because if you say if it's okay if I go, I'm going to say no. Right? Because you get out here and do something, so Rich, let me go early. You don't need to give me an excuse. You're an adult. I cannot keep you here. You say, Rich, I need to go. And I might talk to you a little bit, tell you what you're going to miss. But if you got to go, you got to go, right? You understand? All I ask for you is just to come up and say what? I got to go. And then I'll take care of it. All right? Everybody understand that? This happens every semester. Somebody in my class is just going to disappear. And, working with a partner, you disappear. What's your partner going to do? They're going to keep working, and you're going to lose that credit for that portion of the lab that you didn't do. Everybody understand that? So you can get partial credit for a lab if something happens like that, but you won't be able to get full credit for it. No profanity in my classroom or labs. You need to get out of that habit, guys. That'll lose you a job. Some jobs, they do that a lot, but get out of the habit of doing that. Everybody okay? Any questions on the syllabus? We just went over it briefly. Like I said, we went over the important things about the test, about the final. Nobody's exempt from the final. If for some reason that gets out, some instructors do that. If you make hundreds or 90s on every test, they'll exempt you from the final. I don't do that, because what it is, it's a review for the whole course, right? Understand that? So if something happens and you do miss the final, and you come the whole semester long, then what we do is we'll give you an I in the class. It's called an incomplete, and then you'll get the first 2 weeks of the next semester to come up and make that up. So don't kill yourself. If something happens and you can't make the final, then you send me a text saying, I'm not going to be there, but I'll have to turn my grades in, and we call them I's, and they'll give you a chance to come back and do that, because I do know things happen, and we can't drop the final. Everybody okay? That makes sense? Okay, any questions on this? Okay, guys, y'all go ahead and take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and I'll do a roll. And like I said, I don't have a textbook. All I got is the lab book. I actually got my textbook. And there's not another copy in there. All right, 10 minutes. Even if you're not going to take a break, you need to get up and walk around a little bit. These seats are not the most comfortable in the world.